Welcome to the We're Good podcast, where we are celebrating the everyday brilliance of people working toward a more positive world. If you're looking for the good that's taking place around you, you've come to the right place. Have you ever had a goal but not a game plan? There's an alliance made up of 5 DMV nonprofits that have come together to provide students with workforce training, mentorship, and scholarship programs starting in high school all the way to college or career, their choice. Today, you'll hear the Talent for Tomorrow story through the lens of several people who say this is hard work, but the students' stories are worth it. Let's meet Talent for Tomorrow as we continue to share the good around us here on the We're Good podcast. And today, we're very excited to be joined by a full house of wonderful people who are here for Talent for Tomorrow. And I love that name, you guys. What an inspiring, wonderful organization that you have. And we're going to hear all about how you're all working together. We want to start with some introductions. Axel, I'm going to let you go first.
Thank you. I want to say that I'm Axel Orellana, as you mentioned. And I'm currently a student right now studying at UDC. And the reason why I came here is because I wanted to talk about how Talent for Tomorrow has made such a big impact on my life. Ever since high school, I was able to get in contact with Genesis Works, and they helped me a lot throughout the college process. And to be honest, I would have not made it through college. Well, still in college. I would not have made it through it if it weren't for the help of Genesis Works and the support of all the TFT members, like Europe United.
That's wonderful. What a great start to the introductions. Selvin.
Thank you so much for having me as well, Leanne. I'm so proud of Axel as well. I'm Selvin Waldron. I'm the Executive Director of Genesis Works here in the National Capital Region and a proud member of Talent for Tomorrow.
And I'm Leah Jones. I'm on the Community Impact Investment team here at Capital One. I manage some of our nonprofit relationships in the Greater Washington region, Talent for Tomorrow being one of them, as well as the 5 member organizations within Talent for Tomorrow.
And you did say that. There are 5 organizations, believe it or not, 5 that are all working together. This is such a great story today about collaboration, coming together, and working for a really amazing common goal. So, Leah, let's start with you. With Capital One being in this from the very beginning, tell us who the organizations are and why Talent for Tomorrow needs to exist.
Yeah. The 5 organizations are Europe United, PerScholas, Genesis Works, New Futures, and Spark the Journey, all based in the Greater Washington region, DC, Northern Virginia, and some Maryland touch points. So we cover pretty much all of the geography here. But it really started, we as funders have a really unique perspective and a bird's eye view of all of the organizations that are doing work in the region, and recognized that not a lot of time is spent on just coming together and having conversations and collaborations. And that's really how it started, was bringing organizations together in one place to have a conversation. And from there, these 5 organizations had gotten together and talked about how they could work together, how they could build a pipeline for students and better support students in our region to meet their goals and achieve socioeconomic mobility.
That's wonderful. And Selvin, so all of them have some similar common goals.
Yes.
But I got to tell you, bringing 5 organizations together and working, it all sounds great, but it's got to be a bit of a challenge.
Not easy at all. I've been in this sector for almost 17 years, and my entire career I've heard funders say, I've heard communities say, what if nonprofits just work together? We're doing similar work. So finally, we have a paradigm-shifting alliance of nonprofits who are working to close the gaps of racial and economic mobility for our young folk here in the district. It's not easy because we have to align on program, we have to align on funding, we have to align on the best practices that best lead to the results for our young people.
And I can only imagine, while everyone wants to do great work, it's still, the great thing about this is that you all are still your own nonprofits.
Absolutely.
Right? So that doesn't go away.
Yes, an alliance is not a partnership. An alliance, we are aligned on our executive leadership. We meet monthly. We're aligned on our fundraising teams. Our program teams are aligned as well. We overlay our programming to ensure there's a smooth transition and referral in and referral out to our various partners as well. We also look at what are the programs and supports needed for our learners, our scholars, to be successful. The wraparound support that we could support each other with. And so all that's involved in the process of making sure these young folk in the district attain and really achieve sustainable jobs in their careers.
And of course, with us today is exactly someone who has taken advantage of that and really embraced all of the opportunities. Axel, when you and I were talking earlier, I loved how you said you have taken part in about every part of Talent for Tomorrow, which is really impressive. But before we do that, let's back up just a minute for our listeners. We'd like to hear people's journeys.
Yep.
What was your journey? How did you find out about well, first of all, Genesis Works, Talent for Tomorrow, came along a little later. But how did you find out about these programs?
Yeah, for sure. So I would say the origin of that story at least would be during my high school, I would say around junior year. I was just doing a normal day of school, and I could hear that students were talking about an opportunity, that they got an email from the school counseling team saying, perfect opportunity for you. And the thing is that it caught my interest because I was like, oh, why didn't I get an email? But we're not going to talk about that.
Stay in the passenger side.
Yes. Essentially, I decided to do some digging. All the ones that did get the email was very friendly. We were all very close friends. And I did my own research, and we all collectively decided to go through the program together. And
was this Genesis Works that you
yes,
applied for?
was
Okay.
it was Genesis Works.
Okay.
And to be honest, when I was doing research, we all believed that it was too good to be true kind of program.
And why is that?
Well, Genesis Works advertise themselves as like, oh, come in, you can get corporate training and then get a job during senior year while in high school. And all of that sounded like, wow, that can't be real. Because it's like, why would someone do that? I'm like just an average person. And it was all free. It was like an extra reason. It was like too good to be real. And I even told my parents about it, and people didn't believe me. They didn't believe me at first. But I had the mentality of, why not do it if you have nothing to lose? And I ended up applying, and we all took the summer courses. Just because they were online doesn't mean it was easy.
Right.
So definitely built character amongst all of us. After our summer training, we started high school, and essentially I got my internship with Europe United. And
Right.
Europe United, I was basically you could say a shared staff member, a shared resource. I was working under Europe United as a Talent for Tomorrow staff member. I was just helping wherever I could. I learned a bit of every program, and apparently this is when I found out that one of the other programs I was already under that I didn't even know that I was, which was Spark the Journey.
Spark the Journey.
Yes.
Yeah, so as you were telling me, you just pretty much just did all of it.
Yes.
Yeah. And we want to talk with our other guests, but tell us where you are right now. Where are you at this point?
Currently, right now, I'm studying computer engineering at the University of the District of Columbia, and I help out wherever I can with Talent for Tomorrow. Yeah.
That's wonderful. What a great success.
What a
story.
great story, Axel.
It's wonderful. And so good for you, like that you did the research. But are there other kids out there? Are there other parents out there that might say this is too good to be true?
Well, I agree with Axel. Axel's one of our really most amazing alum. He really took advantage of the program, came in whenever needed. We're currently serving through Talent for Tomorrow about 600 students from various age groups. Our students, again, as Axel mentioned, begin Spark the Journey, and that's from high school getting early career advising and career mentorship. Genesis Works, as I've shared, we are as Axel have shared, we do a summer training and then support students with an internship through their last year of high school. And then New Future supports with scholarships to begin their college journey or their certification journey in higher ed. Europe United has been mentioned as well, supports students who decided to get an early entry into their career before going off to college. And then PerScholas provides really cutting-edge IT and business certification and training. It sounds too good to be true, but it really is in fact true that we provide support to various entry levels, support to various knowledge base, and support young folk in this district in getting into their careers earlier and moving up even faster.
And as you said, from this vantage point, you can see how it all works. But Leah, tell us about partnerships and being able to continue to do this kind of work and the value of this collaboration.
Yeah. I don't want to understate how hard this is. Like, as Selvin was saying, like this is, their full-time job is to run their organization, but also in partnership and with an alliance of 4 other organizations. So they're doing 2 jobs at one time. And so that is really hard. And the value that we as a funder saw was not only just the financial piece, so obviously had given grants for each individual organization, but then the alliance as a whole, because that fundraising, competing fundraising goals is always a challenge on taking away, Genesis Works funding for the alliance funding. You really need both. And so we're able to come in with that piece, but then also support with volunteerism, pro bono support. The Talent for Tomorrow Alliance name came from our pro bono brand team, who got together with the 5 organizations and had talks around what the goals were and what was the desire and outcome of this partnership. And so really just being able to help in as many facets as we possibly could, just to make it a little bit easier for the incredible work that they're doing and to take some of that stress off of the partnership. But as you can hear and see from, Axel and the success stories, it's worth it if, there's those support systems around the organizations.
Well, I'll definitely add, it's definitely not easy. We all have individual nonprofits to operate, our individual boards to also manage,
Right.
our individual staff to support and to pay. So with Capital One being involved, Capital One has been the glue since 2018 when we began this work.
Yeah.
A large recognizable name, a community activist name that our boards know and recognize and trust, that our students know, recognize, and trust, has been very helpful to keeping us together.
That's wonderful.
And the other beauty is that the 5 current executive directors are not the 5 executive directors that started the alliance. So it really speaks to the incredible work that's going on, but then also the desire to continue. Selvin inherited alliance with his job, but
Right.
felt the value and continued to keep going. So there's a lot to be said for those organizers.
But you told me that was something you wanted to do.
Absolutely. If this didn't exist, I don't know if I would have been at Genesis Works. When I was applying to Genesis Works and I read up about the Talent for Tomorrow partnership, the alliance, and I had a briefing with Tanya before I even started working at Genesis Works. This is the things that we wished for in the sector for years. So when I read that this was a alliance of folks working to really close the gap, and then these were the leaders who I had known for years, folks like Kari Brown, who has led Spark for 25 years, was a mentor of mine. New Futures, I had worked with New Futures since my early career 17 years ago. So it really meant a lot that this existed, and that really cemented my decision to join Genesis Works.
That's wonderful. And you see how they all work together. Axel, you were a perfect example of how all the overlap has just really led you to where you were. You told me earlier that you had a goal, but not a game plan. Is that what you told me?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I love that too. And that being a part of this gave you the game plan.
Yes, for sure. In high school, I knew that I wanted to do something in the engineering or technology field. I did know that I wanted to do corporate. Genesis Works provided IT courses during the summer. It definitely allowed me to look into the field and see how it was. And after taking an internship with Europe United, I had a wonderful manager. She taught me so much. I was able to gather all the skills I needed to be self-dependent on myself. They taught me the physical skills, which was IT and stuff like that. But also they taught me how to project manage or be a leader when there needs to be a leader. They taught me how to think for myself. And after gathering all these skills, I ended up realizing that, okay, I think I know what I'm doing. I'm confident in what I'm doing, because they definitely build that confidence. There were a lot of times where it was like, Axel, we need you. Axel, we need you. And I, at first, was kind of, sounds like me.
He's not pointing fingers here.
I see it talking around this table.
But yeah, after sometime I definitely built that confidence. And that definitely has pushed me through college, because now that I'm in college, I've gotten an apprenticeship because of the support of Talent for Tomorrow. So now that I've graduated from Talent for Tomorrow, I can see that the effects that they had are still pushing me through.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So it keeps going.
Yes.
So you're on the alumni board, right?
Yes, I am the alumni.
You're not going to let go. You're going to keep him.
We're going to keep asking Axel for all we can get from Axel.
Exactly. That's wonderful. And thank you for sharing that. There's a lot of people out there that might be listening, or parents who might be listening, who are, a lot of people might have some goals, but they need the game plan. And I love that you said, I need you for this. I need you for that. What is that important?
Yeah.
Why is that so important, Selvin?
That's also what I also drew on. I'm always inspired when I'm in Axel's presence. And I always tell this story to the parents. The challenge we're facing is not about the young folk don't have the talent. The talent is actually in excess. The real problem is there's a crisis of opportunity. So this is why the Alliance is really existing for folks like Axel and the 600 to 1,000 other young folk that we support. They have so much talent. The talent is there. They are ready to just get the opportunity. The opportunities have to exist. So for those listening, the corporations, the partners, let's open up the opportunity for more of these young folk like Axel to really excel.
Yeah, because the partnerships have to come through. And that's a big part of it, right, Leah?
Yeah. I mean, I think, we think we can do things by ourselves, but we're always better when we're working together. And the beauty of the Alliance, too, is now everybody's co-located in one office building. They took it to a whole new level.
It's helpful.
But it really is helpful for some students like Axel to, meet with Selvin and Genesis Works and walk down the hallway and meet with Europe United. And, everything that you could need is in one place. And that's really important for staff and students. And, we can really achieve greater things when we're going together.
And I know that we have Axel here as a success story. I know there's so many more.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to share that just kind of jumps out at you as like some people or some young people? I know you
so much. I have so many stories in my mind. I mean, in addition to Axel's story, the story I also resonate with a lot is the story about Vince. Vince was a intern in our program in our first class, actually 2016 here in the region. And he was competing and deciding between playing basketball or joining Genesis Works. He wasn't yet living in a house with his family. He was moving multiple times. And we convinced Vince to join Genesis Works. So he did his internship with Intelsat, which is a large corporation in Tysons Corner, Virginia. And he spent a year there in high school doing his internship, doing call desk and help desk work. And at graduation, he went off to George Mason, actually, and Intelsat decided to keep Vince on for an internship through college. And he worked there for 4 years through college graduation. And at the end, there was a bidding war to hire Vince. And he decided on a different opportunity, but started with a salary of over $100,000, finishing college. These are the stories that inspire. He was able to purchase his family a house.
Oh, wow.
These are the stories that really inspire our work. So I always draw on those stories, the stories like Axel's story, Vince's story, and so many other of the young people that we serve.
So impressive. And I know you've heard so many of those great stories.
Yeah, and that's why we continue to invest in these organizations. They're some of the best in the region, and they're doing incredible work. And these students and individuals are the success stories. It's hard not to continue to support and be a part of.
Would you encourage other nonprofits to take that bird's eye view and to look and see if there's a way they can collaborate?
I would. Absolutely. Yes. No, I mean, I definitely would. I think, again, it's not easy, but where there are alignments that are natural and not, fitting square peg into round hole, like really making sure that there's alignment, there's not competing priorities, and thinking through, the life cycle or the pipeline of a student or participant, even referral programs, things like that as a starting point, and then building up into something that's a little more sustainable. I would highly encourage.
I would totally agree. I mean, the work to begin is not easy. when you see the outcomes, you can look back and say how great it was. You asked about stories too. The last story I'll share about Vatana's story. And Vatana's story is a story I think that makes this grounding. She came to the country, started in Genesis Works, was referred to New Futures, got a scholarship for college, joined Europe United, and is doing an internship now through Europe United, and then getting courses through PerScholas. We were able to refer her to multiple points along the way of our partnership, and she has not paid any dime for college in this process. If that doesn't make this the thing that nonprofits should do, I don't know what will.
And that's what we hear so much is that they can't afford college, and that there are employers that are looking. There's a pipeline, right? But you just have to know where to go. You need that assistance.
There are 90,000 vacancies right now in Virginia. I just spoke to the Virginia deputy governor last week. 90,000 vacancies. The pipeline
for work.
Available jobs.
Wow.
So the pipeline is somewhat broken. So this has to be done more.
And by working together.
You're
able to just multiply that by times 5.
Absolutely.
Right? So we're about out of time. It's gone so fast. I do have to ask you, Axel, if there is one thing that you could tell our listeners who are listening right now, one thing I know might be hard, about what you got out of this whole experience, the impact that it's had on your life, what would it be?
One thing? I would say, in a way, family.
Love it.
Whenever I need help, I can just go to them. And because there's an alliance, they all are experts in their own way, but they're all working together. And I know for a fact that if I ever need something, I can go to one of them.
That's an amazing testimonial. Family.
Wow.
You can't say much more than that.
Perfect way to
end it. We thank you all for being here today and sharing such amazing stories. We wish everyone well, and we just want to keep in touch so we can find out what's graduation?
2026.
Oh, you are coming up super.
They'll be here before we know it, that's for sure.
Thank you all for being here and for sharing so much about Talent for Tomorrow. It's an amazing organization. There's so many ways I know you can plug in, and we didn't get to talk about that today, but you can volunteer, you can donate, you can be a partner.
Absolutely.
And of course, all of that's on the Talent for Tomorrow website, which is actually going to also be on the we'regood.net. On our We're Good. And we want to be sure for people to join us and to look on our website, we'regood.net, and also follow us wherever you get your podcasts, because we appreciate you being here today. We're good and you're good, and we can all make a difference.